Alright, so I'm going to show you a problem here on my 2001 Montana minivan that I'm not really sure I should show anyone because honestly I'm not sure if this is the best solution or even safe. Actually I know it's not the best solution, but it's something that I eventually came up with after having a lot of problems and then found a great website online that outlined a particular way of dealing with it. So this is my 2001 Pontiac Montana engine, and as you see here I put a faucet on top of the engine. The reason I did this was because I could not get all the air bled out of my coolant system. And eventually, after looking around online and thinking about it for a long time and having a lot of problems, I realized that this bleeder valve here is simply not high enough to get all the air out of this system up here. So here is a hose that was originally on there, and I'm not sure how this was on here. I think it was on here like this actually. And what I did is I just cut this hose in half right here and maybe took a little bit out, and I got a 1/2 inch copper key, and you can just see it right here, and that's a 1/2 inch copper tee. And then I put the part of the hose right here into that, and then I put this hose, the rest of the hose here, and then I added extra hose from the salvage yard and I put that up here, and obviously just got a bunch of assorted hose clamps that looked like they were still good and hose clamped the whole thing together. It was the middle of winter. I was a little bit desperate to get this thing working. What can I say? And when I got it all done, I thought it was kind of funny because this is an actual hose that has a bleeder valve on it right here. This is a bleeder valve, but of course you can just open this up here. So I want to show you a little bit of how this coolant system is supposed to work, and if you need to fix anything, there's other YouTube videos that show how to do that. Here is the radiator cap, and of course that's where you add coolant, and you never open while it's hot unless you want to be adventurous. Over here there is a coolant reservoir, which you're supposed to keep a bit of extra coolant in, of course. And then down here is the water pump, and my water pump was going out. There's a little weep hole which lets fluid out if it's seeking past the main bearing. And if you can look down here, you can still see the fluid mark on the hose. See that right there? That's the old little mark where it was flinging out onto it. And after I drive it for a while, that would be all wet and told me that my water pump was going out. It still worked, but the main little seal was breaking. And so to get that off, you just take the bolts off here and then you take the water pump out. And this whole thing actually doesn't come off. The water pump's under there, it just sits in there real nicely. And there's some great videos about how to do that. Over here on this side is the thermostat. And the thermostat is way down in there. There's a couple bolts down there. And to get that out of there, you need to take the whole air intake assembly off. So you take this off, take the throttle body off up here. And then finally you can get down in there, and you really want a ratcheting 13 millimeter wrench to get that off. I've done that a couple times. And then this whole thing comes off and you put your new thermostat in there, and then you put it all back together. It takes about an hour and a half probably. You know, so I wondered, you know, is this thing rated for heat? And I don't know if it's rated for heat. It is mostly copper. There's metal in there. There's a little plastic gasket in there. But I will say one thing, it has worked so far, and you know, so far so good. I don't know how much longer this van's going to last, so I didn't want to spend a lot of money on it. I basically just wanted the thing to get me through the winter. I'm going to include a link to a web page where a guy did a great write-up of his heating problems in his Pontiac minivan. If you're having significant problems with your heating system and you want to know more, I really want to recommend that you check out that web page. He did a great write-up of this problem and quite a few others, and it's just really well worth reading through if you're interested. So that's what I wanted to share today about the faucet on my engine. If you like this and want to subscribe, feel free. Otherwise, thank you so much and hope you get your van fixed.